Ray. What do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Attracting wealth. The secrets of the millionaire's mind.
When I refer to wealth, I mean much more than just money. I've met, and indeed I know, some of the richest people in the world, but some of them have very little of what I'd call real wealth. Some of them are workaholics with little quality time or friends, just looking for the next million. Of course, wealth is partly about having money, but real wealth is good health. Without your health, what use is money? Real wealth to me is having good friends you can share intimate and pleasurable experiences with, laugh with, who stimulate and fascinate you. Real wealth is feeling happy most of the time. Real wealth is a sense of knowing you're contributing something to the world, that your life is worthwhile. After all, you are unique. Nobody can do things exactly the way you do them. Everyone has special skills they bring to the world, and the fulfillment of that is a wealthy feeling. First of all, I'd like to start by dispelling some myths about money, by perhaps challenging some of your views about money, because before you can truly become richer in the physical world, you're going to have to become richer in yourself. Stop for a moment and ask, what would having more money give you that you don't already have? Whenever I ask this question, most people have ideas come to mind like freedom, security, or power. The good news is, these are states, and it's easy to create them. But wealth is relative. When some people become millionaires, 100 million then seems like a lot, and 1 million doesn't. People who think like this can never have enough money. In a sense, they always feel poor inside. The Indian guru Swami Muktananda, upon arriving in America, stood at the airport and said, "They live in paradise, yet they'll never know it." For the next few minutes, I'm going to talk specifically about money, and firstly, why some people are good at creating money and others are not. Many researchers have found the distinction is predominantly in the way that we think. I don't mean intelligence, but thought patterns. Some people have what I call a poverty consciousness. Deep down at an unconscious level, they just don't believe they're worthy of wealth. Or they fill their heads with thoughts about why they're poor, or why life isn't fair, why others have so much more than them. If you've got thought patterns like that, we're going to change them, because this part of the positivity system will help you reprogram yourself so you automatically begin to think more like a millionaire. As the author James Allen says in his book, As Man Thinketh, a particular train of thought persisted in, be it good or bad, cannot fail to produce its results in the character and circumstances. A man cannot directly choose his circumstances, but he can choose his thoughts, and so, indirectly, yet surely, shape his circumstances. Research has shown that a massive proportion of those who suddenly get enormous sums of money, for example from lotteries or inheritance, are great at losing it all very quickly. 80% are actually worse off financially just 2 years later. That's because inside they still feel poor, and the mind has to prove itself right. It can't deviate from its self-image. So if deep down you think of yourself as poor, or if you constantly fear poverty, that's usually what you'll get. In the words of Jim Rohn, if someone hands you $1 million, best you become a millionaire or you won't get to keep the money. You need to have the self-image of someone who deserves great wealth. What we're going to do next will help you develop and install in your mind a prosperity consciousness, which is much more than attracting money. It's a change in your self-image to one of greater harmony, so you begin to notice the abundance that surrounds you, taking so much more pleasure in everything. If someone has money problems, that's usually only a symptom, but not the root cause of the problem. There's something in them that needs to change. This isn't just another get-rich-quick scheme. The positivity system helps you change your fundamental attitudes towards wealth. As the saying goes, give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, and he eats for life. So what is money? The earliest system of trade was bartering. Eventually, coins were used to represent the value of things. They were the first IOUs. Then came paper money. A dollar bill is an IOU from the government. They used to print only as many dollar bills as they had gold reserves to support in the bank. However, in the 1940s, the governments of the world decided to abandon the gold standard system. Since then, they've been printing money like it was going out of fashion. So now there's only a fraction of gold in reserve compared to the amount of paper money in circulation. Even paper money is being replaced by plastic credit cards and numbers in computers. So money is essentially a symbol. Quite simply, money is a form of confidence. Say, for example, you and I are sitting here and we have $1 bill between us, and we pass it back and forth. If we do it really quickly, in a week we could spend $1 million. Money is the oil in the machine of the economy of a nation. It allows the flow of goods and services. Another way of looking at money is as packaged experience. Your efforts and work is translated into money, then it's translated back into a vacation or an automobile or whatever. However, some people view money as a commodity, wishing to acquire money for money's sake. These people often fear not having enough money, so they hoard as much as they can. This slows down the economy of a country, just as it's harder for an engine to work without enough oil. Also, these days, there are plenty of people who use money to project power, success, and happiness. However, money itself is not a source of happiness. Happiness is a neurochemical event. It's a state that you generate within you. History's littered with people who found that money alone wasn't enough. Elvis Presley, Howard Hughes, Marilyn Monroe, Christine Onassis, and the Gettys are all prime examples. The musician Ry Cooder said, "All the money in the world is spent on feeling good." But you already know that good feelings are just states of mind and body. So part of the equation of becoming wealthier is simply to cut out the middleman and just have the good feelings that the money would have given you. Some people say, well, I can't feel self-respect or achievement until I have a certain amount of money in the bank. Of course, it's great to have targets and goals, but why don't you make one of them feeling good now? Let's talk about negative thoughts about money. Most people have been programmed with some negative financial limitations. They've been taught things like the Bible says money is the root of all evil. What the Bible actually says is the love of money is the root of all evil. That is the acquiring of money for its own sake. Or they've been told that there's only a finite amount of wealth and that the more you have, the less there is for others. Again, this is more garbage. It's actually common in our culture to hear terms such as filthy rich or fat cat, which are indicative of an unconscious mistrust of money. Our unconscious beliefs about money affect how much we're able to create. If, say, you believe money is bad in some way, you'll unconsciously sabotage your attempts to create more money in your life. For example, some artists believe that they cannot have commercial success because that compromises their artistic integrity. Other people believe that you can't be a good person unless you're always helping others, even if it's to your own detriment. But as Abraham Lincoln said, you can't help the poor by being one of them. Some people stay poor because it's safe, it's what they know, but it's not what they're truly capable of. Quite simply, the outside world is a manifestation of our inner world. As you use the positivity system, you're going to let go of any old limited ideas you've had about money and program your mind to become more prosperous. Limited ideas about money are historically derived. During the Middle Ages, the feudal system gave wealth to a privileged few, whilst the masses were tricked into believing that poverty was their salvation. This hierarchical system of power assumes that there's only a finite amount of wealth to go round, implying a scarcity of wealth. That is like some of the corporations of today, where power is top-heavy and everyone competes for their position. In some cases, poverty was glamorized, and for many years it was actually considered a Christian virtue. Some people who grew up in the last century during the Depression, or experienced rationing of food and essentials during the Second World War, have unconscious beliefs that there just won't be enough to go round, and many of them have inadvertently passed them on to their children. One of the extremely negative attitudes about money is holding resentment towards someone else's wealth. That comes from a place of very low self-esteem, and it keeps those people stuck. It's better to wish the best for others. When it comes to money, nearly all the self-help and metaphysical books refer to something called the law of attraction. The law of attraction is a useful metaphor for synchronicity, which can be described as the appearance of meaningful coincidences or incidences of chance. For example, have you ever thought about someone, the phone rings, and it's them? Now, is that telepathy, some kind of magnetic attraction, or just coincidence? Have you ever thought about, say, getting a particular car? Then suddenly you see that type of car everywhere. Maybe you're just noticing how many of those cars were there already. Wouldn't it be good to attune your mind to notice how